War Master Corvain watched the final human colony burn from the bridge of his flagship Eternal Dominion. 7 worlds had fallen in just 3 weeks. A campaign so swift and decisive that even his veteran commanders seemed surprised by the ease of victory. The crystalline spines along his 8-foot frame glowed with satisfaction as he observed the destruction of Nexus Prime. Captain Marcus Stone's desperate last stand had been admirable, but ultimately futile. The humans' 3 patrol ships had been vaporized in minutes, their orbital platform cracking like an egg under Zephyrian plasma bombardment. "Status of the human fleet?" Corvain asked, his voice resonating through the bioluminescent chambers of his throat. Sub-Commander Vexus manipulated the holographic display with his 4 arms. "Complete destruction confirmed across all 7 systems, War Master. Human casualties estimated at 97%. The remaining survivors have scattered in civilian transports. No military threat remains." Corvain's mandibles clicked in triumph. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 species over 3 centuries, but none had fallen as quickly as these humans. Their technology was primitive, their military tactics predictable, and their resolve crumbled the moment they faced superior force. The bridge erupted in celebration as his officers shared the victory. Across the fleet, similar scenes played out on dozens of ships. The humans had been building colonies for decades, spreading across the outer rim territories like some persistent infection. Now that infection had been cleansed. "Communication from the High Command," Vexus announced, his excitement barely contained. The main display shimmered, revealing High Arbiter Zelkoth, supreme leader of the Zephyrian Empire. His ancient crystalline form had witnessed the conquest of more worlds than any living being in the galaxy. "War Master Corvain," Zelkoth's voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "Your reports indicate total victory over the human species. Confirm their elimination as a spacefaring civilization." "Confirmed, High Arbiter. Human military capacity has been completely destroyed. Their colonies are ash, their fleets are scrap metal, and their survivors flee in cargo haulers. The species poses no further threat to Imperial expansion." Zelkoth's approval resonated through the communication link. "Excellent. You have achieved what many thought impossible, the complete conquest of a species in under 1 month. The Empire recognizes your achievement. Begin colonization procedures immediately." As the transmission ended, Corvain felt the satisfaction of perfect victory. The humans had proven to be exactly what their intelligence reports suggested: scattered, primitive, and weak. Their small settlements had possessed no central command, no unified military, and no advanced technology worth studying. "Deploy the colonization fleets," he ordered. "These worlds will serve the Empire well. The humans chose their homeworlds poorly, too close to valuable trade routes to remain independent." Sub-Commander Vexus hesitated. "War Master, our intelligence suggests the humans originated from a system called Sol, deep in the galactic core. Should we pursue the remaining refugees?" Corvain waved dismissively. "A few thousand refugees in cargo ships? Let them flee to whatever backwater worlds they call home. Without their colonies, they'll revert to a pre-spaceflight civilization within a generation. The Zephyrian Empire has more important conquests ahead." As his fleet began the occupation of former human territory, Corvain reflected on how easily this campaign had concluded. The humans had fought with determination, but lacked the technological superiority needed to challenge Imperial forces. Their captains had been brave, their soldiers had been willing to die, but courage meant nothing against overwhelming power. Within days, Zephyrian settlements would replace human colonies. The Empire's borders would expand deeper into the galactic core, opening new territories for conquest. The humans would become just another footnote in Imperial history, a minor species that had briefly flickered across the stars before being extinguished. War Master Corvain had no way of knowing that he had just made the greatest mistake in Zephyrian history. High Arbiter Zelkoth stood before the assembled Galactic Council, his ancient crystalline form radiating triumph. Representatives from dozens of species watched in respectful silence as he announced the Zephyrian Empire's latest conquest. "The human threat has been eliminated," he declared, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. In 23 days, War Master Corvain's fleet destroyed 7 human colonies and scattered their survivors. The species that dared to establish settlements along our trade routes has been reduced to refugees fleeing in cargo haulers. Ambassador Threenox of the Vegan Collective leaned forward, his tentacled form writhing nervously. High Arbiter, our intelligence suggested the humans had spread to over 30 systems. Surely 7 colonies cannot represent their entire civilization. Zelkoth's mandibles clicked with amusement. 30 systems? Impossible. Our deep space reconnaissance has mapped every human settlement. They were miners and traders operating from poorly defended outposts. We found no evidence of major military installations or advanced technology. Across the galaxy, the news spread rapidly through diplomatic channels. The humans, who had been expanding aggressively for decades, were finished. Their merchant ships no longer appeared at major trading stations. Their diplomatic envoys had vanished from galactic politics. To all appearances, humanity had been completely erased from the star maps. War Master Corvain supervised the colonization of former human territory from his new command center on Nexus Prime. The world that Captain Marcus Stone had died defending now served as the capital of Zephyrian expansion into the galactic core. Human structures had been demolished and replaced with towering crystalline spires that housed imperial administrators. Report on colonization progress, Corvain commanded, as Sub-Commander Vexus approached his throne. All 7 worlds are now under full imperial control, War Master. Mining operations have exceeded projections by 40%. The humans chose their colony sites well. These worlds contain vast deposits of quantum crystals and rare metals. Corvain nodded approvingly. The conquest had been so successful that High Command was already planning the next phase of expansion. 3 more sectors lay open for colonization, their defenses weakened by humanity's destruction. Any word from the refugee ships we detected fleeing the battle zones? Corvain asked. Long-range sensors tracked several vessels heading toward the galactic core, but they've vanished beyond our detection range. Intelligence estimates no more than 15,000 survivors across all encounters. Without their industrial base, they pose no threat to imperial interests. What neither Corvain nor his intelligence officers knew was that those refugee ships had carried very specific passengers. Commander Lisa Hartwell sat in the cramped bridge of the disguised transport Morning Star, watching her instruments carefully as they approached the edge of Sol System's outer detection grid. Commander, reported Technician Rodriguez from the communication station, we're receiving the authentication signal. Home base is requesting full debrief. Lisa's jaw tightened as she thought about the friends she'd lost during the strategic withdrawal. The plan had been simple in concept but devastating in execution. Let the aliens think they'd won completely while gathering intelligence on their tactics, technology, and command structure. Open the channel, she ordered. This is Commander Hartwell commanding Task Force 7. Mission accomplished. The aliens have revealed their full capabilities and believe humanity is extinct. Recommend immediate activation of Protocol Omega. On Earth, deep beneath the Colorado Mountains, General Robert Kane received the transmission in the war room that had been secretly constructed over the past 50 years. Banks of monitors showed star maps with red zones marking Zephyrian occupation, while his staff analyzed every second of combat footage transmitted by the defeated human forces. Ma'am, Kane addressed President Victoria Nash, who had been briefing Congress on humanity's refugee crisis just hours earlier. All reconnaissance teams have reported in. We have complete tactical data on Zephyrian fleet movements, weapon capabilities, and command protocols. President Nash studied the tactical displays with grim satisfaction. The price had been enormous. 7 colonies sacrificed and thousands of brave volunteers who had stayed behind to make the defeat look authentic. But the intelligence gathered was invaluable. How long until our forces are ready for the counteroffensive? She asked. The Terra Defense Fleet has been on standby for 3 weeks. Admiral Jessica Rivers reports all ships are armed and ready. Our pilots have been drilling with the new fighter designs around the clock. Nash nodded slowly. For decades, humanity had built their outer colonies with minimal defenses deliberately appearing weak and scattered while their real military strength remained hidden in the Sol system. Every human who joined the colonial forces knew they might be called upon to make the ultimate sacrifice to sell this deception. Back in Zephyrian space, War Master Corvain received a priority message from High Command. The Empire was so confident in their victory that they were already reassigning his fleet to new conquest targets. "Prepare for departure," he told Vexus. "The High Arbiter wants us to begin scouting the Centauri sector. With the human threat eliminated, we can focus on more significant challenges." As the Zephyrian fleet prepared to leave their conquered territory, none of them noticed the small sensor probes that had been quietly deployed throughout their occupation zone. Deep in space, these devices transmitted everything back to Sol system, where humanity's real military was making final preparations. The aliens had taken the bait perfectly. Now came the response. Engineer Jake Morrison floated in zero gravity within the massive construction bay orbiting Jupiter, watching as the final armor plating was welded onto the dreadnought Terran Vengeance. The ship stretched nearly 2 kilometers, from bow to stern, its sleek black hull bristling with weapon systems that no alien species had ever encountered. "Jake, how long until the quantum drives are online?" Admiral Jessica Rivers asked through the communication system. Her voice carried the weight of humanity's greatest secret, a fleet that had been under construction for 30 years, hidden in the outer reaches of the Sol system. "Final calibrations complete in 6 hours, Admiral," Jake replied, his hands dancing across holographic controls. "All 17 dreadnoughts will be ready for deployment. The Zephyrians have no idea what's coming. 30 years ago, when humanity first detected alien civilizations through deep space telescopes, President Nash's predecessor had made a crucial decision. Instead of announcing contact to the world, a secret project began. Humanity would appear, weak and scattered, while building the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. On Earth, General Robert Kane stood in the Pentagon's deepest bunker, addressing the most classified briefing in human history. Before him sat the commanders, who would lead humanity's first interstellar war, officers who had trained their entire careers for this moment. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kane began, "for 30 years, we've watched alien civilizations through our surveillance networks. We've studied their tactics, reverse-engineered their technology from debris, and prepared for the day they would discover us." Colonel Maria Santos raised her hand. "Sir, our intelligence suggests the Zephyrian Empire has conquered 47 species. How can we be certain our technology will prove superior?" Kane smiled grimly and activated the holographic display. "Because they've been fighting agricultural societies and peaceful traders. Every species they conquered was discovered after achieving spaceflight. They've never faced a civilization that prepared for war before making contact." The display showed comparative analyses between Zephyrian weapons and human technology. While the aliens had energy weapons and faster-than-light travel, humanity had spent decades perfecting something far more dangerous: adaptive warfare systems and quantum-enhanced artificial intelligence. "Our pilots have been training in combat, simulators based on 30 years of alien observation," Kane continued. "Our ships carry weapons designed specifically to counter Zephyrian defenses. Most importantly, we understand their psychology. They expect quick surrender after a show of force." Deep in the asteroid belt, Commander Lisa Hartwell supervised the final stages of Operation Lazarus, the activation of military installations disguised as mining facilities. What the Zephyrians had dismissed as simple asteroid miners were actually massive weapons platforms and ship construction yards. "Commander," reported Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station, "we're detecting Zephyrian scout ships entering the outer system. They're heading for the gas giant mining platforms." Lisa's eyes hardened. The aliens were becoming curious about human home territory, probably seeking to confirm their victory was complete. They were about to get a very different welcome than they expected. "Signal all stations," she ordered. "Weapon systems to stand by. Do not engage until they reach the Jupiter perimeter. We want them to see everything before they die." On Mars, the sprawling underground city of New Geneva, buzzed with activity as President Victoria Nash addressed the Emergency Security Council. The time for deception was ending, and humanity was about to reveal its true nature to the galaxy. 30 years ago, we made a choice, Nash declared to the assembled leaders. We could announce ourselves to the galaxy as friends and hope for the best, or we could prepare for the worst while appearing harmless. The Zephyrian attack on our colonies has proven our caution was justified. Secretary of Defense Williams leaned forward. Madame President, the public still believes our colonies were destroyed by unknown raiders. When do we reveal the truth? When our fleet arrives at Zephyrian space and begins the liberation of every world they've conquered, Nash replied. Humanity will not announce itself as another peaceful species begging for acceptance. We will introduce ourselves as liberators. Back on Nexus Prime, War Master Corvain received an unexpected report from his scout ships approaching the Sol system. What they found defied everything Imperial intelligence had concluded about human capabilities. War Master, Sub-Commander Vexus announced, his forearms trembling with confusion. Our reconnaissance vessels are reporting massive artificial structures throughout the human home system. These appear to be military installations. Corvain's crystalline spines darkened with concern. Impossible. Our intelligence indicated the humans were a scattered agricultural species. Show me the sensor data. The holographic display revealed a sight that chilled even a veteran of 47 conquests. The Sol system contained not just inhabited worlds but vast orbital shipyards, weapons platforms, and what appeared to be the largest space fleet ever assembled. Magnify the Jupiter sector, Corvain commanded, his voice losing its usual confidence. The image focused on massive ships emerging from concealed construction bays, vessels that dwarfed anything in the Imperial fleet. Their design was unlike anything the Zephyrians had encountered, sleek and predatory, rather than the bulky, ornate style favored by most civilizations. Sub-Commander, Corvain's voice carried a new tone, one his officers had never heard before. Fear. How many ships are we detecting? Initial count suggests over 300 major vessels, War Master, and the scanning is far from complete. Corvain stared at the display, finally understanding the magnitude of his mistake. The humans hadn't been conquered. They had been playing a game the Zephyrian Empire didn't even know existed. Send an immediate message to High Command, he ordered, his mandibles clicking with desperate urgency. We may have gravely underestimated the human species. But it was already too late. Across the Sol system, humanity's true military was stirring to life, and their target was clear: every Zephyrian ship in the galaxy. Admiral Jessica Rivers stood on the bridge of the Terran Vengeance, watching as humanity's hidden fleet emerged from concealment across the Sol system. 317 warships, each one larger and more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen, formed up in perfect formation around Earth's moon. Fleet status report, she commanded, her voice carrying across quantum communication channels to every ship in the armada. All vessels report combat ready, Admiral, responded Captain Morgan Cross from the destroyer Retribution. Quantum drives are synchronized, weapon systems are armed, and target coordinates have been distributed to all ships. Through the massive viewport, Jessica watched as fighter squadrons launched from carrier bays hidden within asteroids. Pilot Thomas Hawk Mitchell led the first wave, his advanced interceptor humming with technology that no alien species had encountered. Hawk leader to Fleet Command, Thomas reported through his helmet communicator. All fighter wings are ready for jump. We've been waiting 30 years for this moment. Jessica nodded grimly. Every pilot, every officer, every crew member aboard the human fleet was a volunteer who had dedicated their lives to this deception. They had watched aliens conquer dozens of peaceful species while humanity prepared in secret, building the largest military force in galactic history. Attention all ships, Jessica announced across the fleet-wide channel. Today we reveal humanity's true nature to the galaxy. We are not refugees. We are not scattered miners. We are the children of Earth, and we do not forgive those who murder innocents. On the bridge of his flagship, War Master Corvain frantically tried to process reports flooding in from across Zephyrian space. Human ships were appearing everywhere. Not the small patrol vessels his forces had easily destroyed, but massive warships that seemed to materialize from empty space. "Sub-Commander Vexus!" Corvain roared, his crystalline spines flaring with panic. "How many human vessels are we detecting throughout the Empire?" "Over 800 confirmed contacts, War Master," Vexus replied, his forearms shaking as he manipulated tactical displays. "They're appearing in every system we occupy. Our colonies are under simultaneous attack across 47 worlds." Corvain stared at the impossible numbers. The Zephyrian Empire had spent 3 centuries building their fleet of 600 ships. Somehow the humans had constructed a force nearly twice that size without anyone detecting their presence. "Impossible," he whispered. "Our intelligence networks cover the entire galactic arm. How could they hide such a massive military buildup?" His answer came in the form of intercepted human communications. The voice of Admiral Rivers echoed across Zephyrian frequencies, her words translated by their systems. "This is Admiral Jessica Rivers of the Terran Defense Fleet. For 30 years, humanity has watched your empire murder peaceful civilizations. You destroyed our outer colonies because we allowed you to, gathering intelligence on your tactics and technology. Now you face Earth's true children." Corvain's mandibles clicked in horror as the full scope of human deception became clear. The colonies his forces had destroyed weren't humanity's civilization. They were bait in the largest military trap ever conceived. "Open communications to all Imperial fleets," he commanded desperately. "Recall every ship to defensive positions. We're facing a coordinated assault across the entire Empire." But it was already too late. In the Nexus Prime system, human dreadnoughts dropped out of hyperspace with devastating precision. Captain Diana Foster, commanding the assault cruiser, Terra's Wrath, watched Zephyrian orbital platforms explode under concentrated quantum cannon fire. "Target the command ship," she ordered her weapons officer. "That's War Master Corvain's flagship. He's the one who ordered the massacre of our colonies." The Eternal Dominion shuddered under the impact of weapons it had no defense against. Human quantum cannons tore through Zephyrian energy shields like they were made of paper, while adaptive AI systems countered every defensive maneuver the aliens attempted. In space around the former human colony, Pilot Mitchell led his fighter squadrons against Zephyrian interceptors. The alien pilots had centuries of experience, but they had never faced human adaptive combat systems. "Hawk 2, break left," Thomas commanded as his wingman's fighter danced between plasma bolts. "These aliens fly like they're following a textbook. Let's show them what improvisation looks like." Human fighters moved with fluid unpredictability, their AI-enhanced systems adapting to alien tactics in real time. Where Zephyrian pilots relied on proven strategies, humans embraced chaos and innovation. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as humanity's true military revealed itself. On worlds the Zephyrians had colonized, human marines deployed from hidden transport ships, liberating enslaved populations and destroying Imperial infrastructure. General Kane monitored the offensive from Earth's command center, watching tactical displays that showed the systematic dismantling of an empire that had taken centuries to build. "Status report from all theaters," he requested. "Sector 7. Reports complete success," Colonel Santos announced. "Zephyrian resistance is collapsing faster than projected. Their ships can't adapt to our quantum weapon systems." "Sector 12 has liberated the Vegan collective homeworld," reported another officer. "The aliens we're freeing can't believe we're human. They thought our species was extinct." Kane smiled coldly. The Zephyrian Empire had made the fatal mistake of believing their own propaganda. They had convinced themselves that humanity was just another weak species to be conquered, never realizing they were facing predators who had been preparing for this moment since first contact. "Admiral Rivers reports the Nexus Prime assault is complete," came another update. "War Master Corvain's flagship has been captured. The alien commander is requesting surrender terms." Kane activated his communication system, his voice reaching every human ship across the galaxy. "All units, this is Command. Phase 1 of Operation Retribution is complete. Zephyrian military capacity has been neutralized." Begin Phase 2, Liberation of all conquered worlds. As human forces pressed their advantage across dozens of star systems, the galaxy watched in awe as the species everyone thought was extinct emerged as its new dominant power. The Zephyrian Empire, built over 3 centuries of conquest, crumbled in a single day. Warmaster Corvain, bloodied and broken aboard his captured flagship, finally understood the magnitude of humanity's deception. They hadn't been conquered, they had been hunting. Ambassador Diana Foster walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council chambers, her footsteps echoing in the vast halls where alien representatives had once dismissed humanity as irrelevant. Today, every species in the galaxy waited to hear Earth's terms for the new galactic order. The same chamber where High Arbiter Zelkoth had announced humanity's extinction just weeks ago, now served as the site of the Zephyrian Empire's formal surrender. Warmaster Corvain, his crystalline spines dimmed with defeat, knelt in chains before the assembled representatives of 47 liberated worlds. Members of the Galactic Council, Diana began, her voice carrying the authority of the species that had just reshaped galactic politics overnight. Humanity stands before you not as conquerors but as liberators. The Zephyrian Empire's reign of terror has ended. Ambassador Thrinox of the Vegan Collective, his tentacles trembling with emotion, rose from his seat. Ambassador Foster, our people owe humanity a debt that can never be repaid. The Zephyrians enslaved our worlds for over a century. In one day, you freed us all. Diana nodded solemnly. Behind her, holographic displays showed the aftermath of Operation Retribution. Across 47 star systems, human forces had not only defeated Zephyrian military assets, but had immediately begun humanitarian operations, providing medical aid, food supplies, and reconstruction assistance to liberated populations. The Earth Coalition proposes a new galactic charter, Diana announced, producing a crystalline data storage device. No species will again be permitted to wage wars of conquest against peaceful civilizations. Humanity will guarantee the security of all member worlds. High Arbiter Zelkoth, his ancient form now bearing the weight of absolute defeat, struggled to his feet. You planned this from the beginning. The colonies we destroyed were volunteers, Diana replied without emotion. 7,000, brave souls who sacrificed themselves to sell the deception. They died knowing their sacrifice would save millions across the galaxy. Warmaster Corvain raised his head, his once proud voice now broken. How long? How long did you watch us before making contact? President Victoria Nash stepped forward, her presence commanding immediate attention from every alien representative. 37 years, Warmaster. We detected your empire when our deep space telescopes first achieved interstellar resolution. We watched you conquer the Altarian Republic. We observed the massacre of the Centauri colonies. We learned everything about your tactics, your technology, and your weaknesses. The chamber fell silent as the full scope of humanity's patient planning became clear. For nearly 4 decades, Earth had prepared for this moment while appearing to be nothing more than scattered traders and miners. You could have warned us, whispered Representative Kelvox of the Andromedan Federation. Our worlds fell to the Zephyrians 20 years ago. You could have saved us. Nash's expression hardened and revealed our hand too early. If we had intervened then, the Zephyrians would have adapted their tactics. Millions more would have died in a prolonged conflict. Sometimes the hardest choice is to wait until you can win decisively. General Robert Kane approached the podium, his uniform bearing the insignia of humanity's first galactic defense force. The Zephyrian military has been completely dismantled. Their ships are being converted to humanitarian vessels. Their weapons factories are being retooled to produce medical equipment and construction materials. What of our people? Warmaster, Corvain asked, the fight completely gone out of him. Your civilians will be relocated to designated worlds under Earth protection, Kane replied. Your military personnel will face trial for war crimes, but your species will not be exterminated. Humanity does not wage wars of genocide. Admiral Jessica Rivers entered the chamber, still wearing her battle uniform from the final engagement at the Zephyrian capital world. In her hands, She carried the imperial scepter, the symbol of Zephyrian authority for over 3 centuries. "The last Zephyrian stronghold has surrendered," she announced. "All imperial forces have laid down their weapons. The war is over." Diana took the scepter and, in full view of the galactic representatives, broke it in half. The symbolic gesture sent a clear message throughout the galaxy. The age of conquest was ending. "Humanity offers membership in the Terran Defensive Alliance to any species committed to peaceful coexistence," Diana declared. "Our fleets will patrol the spaceways. Our technology will be shared with allied worlds. Never again will a peaceful civilization face extinction at the hands of predators." As the formal surrender ceremony concluded, the galaxy began to understand the new reality. Humanity had emerged not as another empire seeking dominance, but as guardians committed to protecting the weak from the strong. Commander Lisa Hartwell, now bearing the rank of Admiral, stood on the bridge of the rebuilt Nexus Prime orbital station. Where Zephyrian crystal spires had once dominated the skyline, human and alien architects worked together to create something new, a symbol of cooperation rather than conquest. "Ma'am," reported her communications officer, "we're receiving applications for alliance membership from over 200 worlds. Everyone wants Earth's protection." Lisa smiled as she watched construction crews, human, Vegan, Andromedan, and dozens of other species, working side by side to rebuild what the Zephyrians had destroyed.